mute. Here comes Slav as well. So, hello. It's Phil. It's Discover Tai Chi for LimbPower. And this is our last session until I go away on a short little break. And we will be back on Thursday the 19th. Yes, Thursday the 19th of September, same time. So it's just a week, but just going to get some sunshine, hopefully somewhere in Croatia. Right, are we ready? Seated, standing, make sure you've got some space for your hands and arms. I'm going to do a kind of mix of shabashi movements from set 1 and set 2 with a bit of an emphasis on calming things down. It's been a bit of a stressful day here at Discover Tai Chi Towers, as we might call it. With lots of conflicting demands. You know how you get those days? All just gets a bit higgledy-piggledy, shall we say. Okay, I'll do my mix of seated or standing, but I will stay standing for the time being. Okay, let's get started. We're going to go overhead or overheadish with our opening movement. So you go as far as you feel comfortable with this lift, and then the hands fall out to the sides. Obviously, if you sat down, you may have to negotiate things around you, including armrests. So just be mindful that you'll have to maybe sweep the hands in front of the knees rather than letting them come straight back down. But we're going to take a breath on the next one. Big in-breath, if you like. This lift of the hands and arms facilitates the rib cage being able to really engage and get some air into the system. Let's do that one more time. Fab. We kind of say we as people who live with disabilities of one sort or another are often only too well aware that breathing is a muscular thing. And if we have an accident or an illness that impacts the nervous system, that controls that, then we jolly well know about it. So movement can sometimes be a means of facilitating in some cases, that ability to take a bigger, deeper breath. So that seems to be another little tick in the cap for Tai Chi and Qigong. So let's keep with that kind of thought in mind. We'll use rotation and we'll use the opening of Wai Zhao, which again lends itself very nicely. So as I turn to the right, this gentle little lift of the hands and arms can facilitate deeper, longer breath. Same on the left side. I can take a breath in, and then on my return, breathe out. Again, you may just do that occasionally. You don't have to do it every time. If anything, it's the knowledge of that realization that hand and arm movements can facilitate ventilation is the rather ignominious way that health professionals would talk about it. There we go. And sometimes, as a patient, like I was, you have to be ventilated to facilitate that ingress of air and oxygen to keep you breathing. So ventilation is a muscular thing. Okay, let's keep on a theme a little bit. We'll do a swimming movement. I did this on Wednesday with wheel power, but it's a really nice one because it facilitates that breaststroke type movement. And if you have, can't remember last time I actually went in a swimming pool, a long time, but again, timing your breath with a stroke really helps facilitate that. So we've got our hands cupped. If you're seated, you can do the same. And we push the hands forward. Palms come together, and then we roll the hands to the backs of the hands touch. And then here's the swimming stroke. We swim down and back, sweep the hands around, back to that start position. And then push. And then sweep back. So if we were swimming, if I get this right, we'd be taking an in breath and then an out breath as we pull that swimming stroke. Again, that's an option, but it just kind of gives us an indication that, again, utilizing a physical movement can chime or resonate with our breath. Swimming. Going to do that one more time. Excellent. Let me sit down for the next 2 or 3 movements. Join people who are seated and people who watch later who are seated as well. Okay, let's do Stork Pays Homage to the Moon. Again, it's another symmetrical movement, which again is useful, and it's a nice one. It brings the palms together and it kind of induces a really nice sense of calmness. Hands can either start beside your hips if you're standing up, or just on the knees, and then we're picking the hands up to the outsides. And they're coming overhead. Again, as far as you feel comfortable, palms come together, and then we bring those palms down. We go to about chest level, and you've got permission to stick your elbows out. And then just let everything relax, let the hands fall away. And then once again, we're going for that lift. So again, if that lift feels like an in-breath for you, then feel free to do that. And then maybe a gentle out-breath as we just drop into that position. We can just have a little pause there if you like, and just kind of rest momentarily before letting the hands go. The alternative is to just focus our attention purely on the movement and our breath through millions of years of evolution will take care of itself, thank goodness. So we can just focus on that movement. It's just a nice one as we bring those palms together. It just seems to bring a sense of calmness to everything that we do. Fab. And have a little rest. Let's bring in a monkey movement. Tension can build in the shoulders, particularly if you've had one of those days, which is what I've had, one of those days. So purposeful tension, then relaxation can be a jolly good way of managing that. So we're going to see if we can bring our finger pads together with our thumb pads, and then we're going to tuck the elbows in, tuck the hands in, okay, create that kind of monkeyish type shape, And then it's this purposeful lift of the shoulders up to the ears, and then a look to the right while we keep that lift in place. And then a turn back. And then we get to relax. Keep the hands in place, but let the shoulders drop. Do the same now, lifting. But this time we look to the left. We've got to keep that tension before we relax and let it go. Good job. Let's have another go. Could be an in-breath if you wish. You hang on to that breath as you make a little turn. And then as you're coming back, you can let that breath go. Or, as I said, you can simply focus on the movement, keeping the shoulders lifted, and then just letting the tension drop away. I'm going to go one more to each side. Okay, so here we go. Looking to the right, and back, and then back down, and then up again. And back, and down. Excellent. Might want to give those hands a shake, because we certainly build some tension there, but it's also about teaching us, letting us know that we can also purposefully let go of tension also. Okay, let's do one more, excuse me, one more movement. I'll go for a pushing movement. Let's do 6 rabbits, which is a different set of movements. It involves a push and a pull. So we're going to bring our hands in front of our shoulders. We're going to push forward quite strongly. And then the fingers extend, and then we close the hands. And if we can drop the hands and kind of put some tension in the wrists, and then pull in. I always think of it as pulling a bed sheet. Keep the elbows out. See if you can touch the top of the chest with the hands, and then relax. Let everything go. And now push for a second time. Fingers extend first of all, then we clench the hands, pull them in towards us, but the elbows stay out. And then once again, we roll the hands around, relax, and push for a third time. Reaching, closing the hands, dropping those hands that we pull in, but tension builds up, and then we release that tension. Fourth time. Here we go. Pull. Again, it could be that you're thinking to yourselves, okay, so this pull in could be an in-breath. And this push could be an out-breath. Okay, this is our 6th and final one. And it comes. Final push. And then relax. Okay. So that kind of gets us halfway. And for both wheel power and for limb power, I've been getting you into this short little set of sequences from Yang style Tai Chi. We've got the opening movement, we've got part the wild horse's mane, white crane, and then brush knee. And I'll hold my hand up. I begin to lose track of which sequence I've done with which class. That includes all the community classes I do as well. So I'm going to start off with just the first 2 sequences. Okay, just to get ourselves going. It's actually a jolly good way to start, and you just tack on another movement as you go along. I'll do a mix of seated and standing. So I'm going to stay seated for this first one. I'm going to face the camera as well. So shall we have a little go? I'll talk us through it. So if you're seated, hands on the knees, or if you can, beside you. If you stood up, hands nice and relaxed. And then we're going to start off with 3 chi movements to set the scene. Here we go. There's that lift, and then that drop or free fall of the hands. I'll let mine drop to the side. Again, it's a movement that kind of intuitively suggests an in-breath on the lift and an out-breath on the drop. Or just focus on the movement. That's our third and final one. So as we lift this time, we're catching our first beach ball. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. Excuse me. Right hand comes on top. And then I do a little turn to the right. And now we're into part the wild horse's mane. Brushing the right hand back, left hand forward. Catch a second beach ball. And turn to the left this time, and then brush. Right hand forward, left hand down. Back we come, right hand on top. Turn to the right. And then if we turn forward, that gets the hands in motion. Just there. Right hand on that imaginary table that I've talked about. Then we can just place one hand on top of the other. Do a little flower to finish. Gets us in the habit of creating a closing movement. Doesn't matter how many or how few of those movements we do, we can always finish with a closing movement. Okay, let's do that first position in white crane. And then lift up into this position, spreading our wings. From the beginning, once again, I'll do a little talk through, but this time we'll just do chi once this time, okay? Ready? 3, 2, 1, off we go. Picking up. But it's an opportunity to really create a sense of settledness. So don't be in a hurry to get through that first sequence. Here's our first beach ball, right hand on top, a turn to the right, a brush through that horse's mane, left hand going out, right hand on the table, second beach ball, left hand on top, so that tells me to do a little turn to the left, and then as I square up, there go the hands into position. Catch the ball, third time. Little turn to the right, because the right hand's on top, and brush through the wild horse's mane for a third time also. Fourth beach ball. So here we go. Fourth beach ball, left hand on top. Just check the elbows. Are they down or sticking out? Just let them drop. Bottom hand, the right hand comes out and it begins to lift. And my left hand, sorry about that, got my left and rights mixed up, is down. So I've got my wings spread. Here's my right wing, here's my left wing. And sometimes we call it ta-da, because it kind of feels like that. Okay, here we go. Flower, cross the hands, doesn't matter which one ends up on top. Circle in, around, cross once more to Finish nicely. Okay. Okay, I'm going to stand up, do one standing up for people who are standing up. Just let me do that. Everything stays the same. Once again, I'll face the camera. Okay, I'll be at a bit of an angle. That can change things. So this is my left side, just so you're aware. Once again, one chi-shi. Ready, steady, off we go. So it's a lift. A sense of tallness or growth with that lift, and then maybe a sense of heaviness or settling. Chen is the word in Chinese. It means to settle. Catch a ball now, right hand on top. So I'm going to turn to the right and then square back up and brush for the first time. I'm going to catch the next ball, the second one, left hand on top, little turn to the left, and then squaring up, brush through the part, through that wild horse's mane, excuse me. Catch for a third time, back to that right hand on top. Once again, turn to the right, and then squaring up to part the wild horse's mane. Fourth beach ball. Here we go. And then lifting that right hand on the outside, and then it's lifting up. My left wing, so to speak, comes out to the side. Here I am. Ta-da! Like so. And then a flower to finish. Good job. Okay. Let's do the next part to white crane, which is getting my hands in motion into those orbits that we've talked about, where I get the hands in motion, the body stops momentarily, and then we're going to lead the hands to finish on the right side, like so. Here's my right hand. We can imagine that we catch a custard pie that we're going to deliver in our brush knee sequence. I'm going to turn the opposite way. Okay, so you've got my back. There we go. This is my right arm. You've got my right shoulder. I know sometimes these angles work for some people, but not for other people. I'm really sorry. I'm just trying to give as many people as many options as possible. Okay, so from the beginning, follow along. 1, 2, 3, off we go. Shisha, just take your time, set the scene. Hopefully this is getting more familiar as we catch our first beach ball. Right hand on top, a little turn to the right, and then I turn back, and as I do so, that gets the hands in motion to brush through the wild horse's mane. There's my right hand, left hand out in front. Catch the second beach ball, left hand on top. Turn to the left a little bit, and then turn back to the center, and that gets the hands in motion for the second part of the wild horse's mane. Third beach ball, back to that right hand on top. Here we go, turning to the right, and then I turn back, and that's what gets the hands in motion for our third and final brushing through the horse's mane. Here we go for our fourth beach ball, left hand on top, lifting into our first position for white crane. So I've got my left hand down, it'll probably disappear a bit, right hand up. I'm turning a little bit to the left. I stop, but the hands keep going. The left hand lifts up and around, the right hand folding down, and then I turn back to the right, and I've got to trust my hands to kind of just find their way to that position on the right. And then I can turn forwards and let the hands drop I'm going to push that right hand forward, and my left hand has found another table right in front of me. Oh look, I've got a table just behind me that gives the illusion. There you go. Just there. Brush me. And then we can do our flower to finish. Okay, so once we've got into brush knee, it's simply another 2 repetitions of that, just like part the wild horse's mane from one side to the other. Okay, I know there's a lot, but the more we practice it, the more those movements just begin to find their way into our brain, and they begin to be a bit more familiar. That's the aim anyway. Shall we have another little go? Let me face the camera once again. I'll stay standing. I'll do another one seated in just a little while, but let me do this facing the camera. This is my left arm, so there's a bit of an emphasis on that side. Ready, steady, off we go. So let's just slow things down. Take your time to think and feel. Through Chisha. Okay. What comes next? It's that first beach ball, right hand on top. Then it's a turn. Then it's a return that we open out into part the wild horse's mane. Here's our second beach ball. Catch it. Then turn to the left. And here's my brushing movement as I turn to the front. Third beach ball. Right hand back on top. Turn to the right. And look forward and turn and get those hands in position for that final part the wild horse's mane. Fourth beach ball. Okay, 4 in total. Here we go, into our first position of white crane. I turn to my left a little bit and then I stop, but the hands carry on. And then I begin to turn to the right, and that begins to bring my hands across to the right. And I'm going to catch my first custard pie. And then I'm going to turn to the front and deliver that custard pie. Here's my left hand coming down to find a table, and I push just directly in front of that shoulder as if delivering my custard pie. Let's finish there, shall we? So let's do our flower to finish. Okay, we got time to do one more? Is that okay? Yeah? I'll do it seated. I'll stay facing the camera. Okay, last one. 3, 2, 1, off we go. This time I'll just call out the sequence names. So here's Chisha. And then part the wild horse's mane. On this right side, first of all. And part the wild horse's mane on the left side. Once again, part the wild horse's mane, right side. And then we're heading into white crane, spreads its wings. So let's do that. Spread your wings. And then we'll begin to fold and turn. And spread those wings off to the right. And then we're facing forwards for our first brush knee. or our first custard pie. And then we can finish with a flower. Good work. So that's it. We've got just over 7 o'clock. We've done a bit of Shibashi movements and a mix of some Daoyin movements, and then we've revisited our Tai Chi form. So again, just for the recording and for those people who are watching later, no session next Thursday, back the following week after that. So that should be the 19th of September. So I hope to see you then. Thank you very much for joining me this evening, and I hope to see you in a couple of weeks' time. I'm going to say bye-bye, but stop the recording. Any questions, you can get them in now, or you can just give me a wave and